was a lot of interest in Swarm already then, and it's only grown since. So we invited participation from the public, and so we collected some statistics to see how that went. So what happened was, a lot of people joined Swarm, more than we expected, but how many, it's hard to say, because nobody knows. It's a peer-to-peer network. There's no central source that can keep track of users. You know, if I'm connected to 2 of you, but you're connected to 5 others, I will never see that. So all I can say is what we saw. We had a cluster that collected some stats on how many peers it was connected with, and that allows us to estimate how big the general network was. So we had the site, the swarm.eth, which is our landing page. It looks like this, and it was downloaded over 10,000 times just over Christmas, January, February period, and that's when we stopped logging, because we're not really that interested in keeping track of what everyone's doing all the time and evaluating the stats. We just were interested at the beginning to see how it worked. And that's also the reason why I'm giving you older stats. We started looking more at the issues we found and less about just trying to collect more stats. Yeah, we had 2,500 unique addresses, 130 simultaneous nodes connected to us. There might have been more. So there was it's dropped off considerably since then, but there was a spike of interest, and that shows the community is really interested in the Swarm project. And I made a little screencast demo video, which also had 1,400 hits just within days being announced. So it was really encouraging to see. Yeah, the cluster, as I said, we're running a test cluster that is hosted by Azure. Microsoft makes that available for us, so we have quite a lot of computing power there. We had 35 to 50 nodes, depending. I was spinning them up, taking them down, seeing how they reacted. Now it says the entire cluster had to be redeployed and extended twice. That's now gone to 4 times, so it's constantly hard work. Yeah, partly due to heavy usage, partly due to just complete performance snafu. We've discovered a lot of bugs as a side effect. Talking of bugs, you can always report bugs, and we're always very happy if you do. Here, these were some statistics for how many people contributed, but there's, it's a community effort, and the more we get reports, the more we can, the faster we go ahead. So, apps running on Swarm is this is really this thing we can show off, which messaging and routing protocols might be dry, but apps are nice and colorful, and I can show you some screenshots. There's a Swarm Explorer, which turns any Swarm site and renders it as if you opened it in Finder on Apple or some file manager. There's a photo album app, which is actually what I'm using to run these slides. There was an ENS tracking app, which I only mentioned because it came out of nowhere. We don't know who did it, and it used Whisper, Swarm, and Ethereum all together for the first time. That was really cute. Somebody built a bulletin board, and the Mist wallet is loadable now as a Swarm app, and there's a Markdown editor, and I will show you those. So this is a Swarm file manager. The hash is registered as swarmexplorer.eth, and then you can give it the name of any Swarm asset, and it will render it as if it were just a bunch of files. And this is actually the same Swarm landing page. Again, it's got the index HTML, the images, the files, it's JavaScript. You can sort of pick it apart that way if you don't want to see it as a website. This was the discussion forum, which was kind of cute. It was a proof of concept. It's at the EdCon conference in Paris, and then there's a screenshot of me explaining this with this behind, and Mihai from Akasha made fun of me, saying, I'm standing there talking like this, and not just behind me it just says "coming soon," and he said, it says "eternal coming soon." And in this case, all of the things listed on the site are here now, and I will show you those next, if I can. So, Fuse integration. Well, I said we can load any Swarm asset and turn it into render it in a website like a file manager. Well, with Fuse integration, you can actually mount a Swarm asset into your local file system and open it with your File Explorer, and it'll be just like a mounted USB stick, and it'll mount directly from the Swarm. And it's read-write support, it's really great. And Zahur will be talking about that possibly. That's the man behind Fuse. Mist wallet can be run from Swarm, and we got a demo of that yesterday at the Swarm Summit. PSS chat, already mentioned. But here's what it would look like, the Ethereum wallet. You can see up there the address is BZZ something. That's what tells you this is loading the wallet app from Swarm, which is the images, the JavaScript, the HTML, the full package. So that's great. So what else? So we're going to enable swap. That is the accounting, bandwidth accounting on the testnet. We're going to be playing around with that because right now there's no accounting, everything is free. Mind you, once it's on testnet, it's still free. We're paying with imaginary testnet ether, but we want to start testing that system. And I've put up mainnet ENS on swarmgateways.net. What that means is, the Ethereum name service is launched a few weeks ago. It's still during its soft launch period, but it's tremendously successful. A lot of people are buying .eth names. I don't know if anyone here has. But you can assign to that .eth name not just an address of a wallet or something. You can associate a lot of different content, and one of those things you can associate with a name is a swarm hash. And then you can just look, upload a website, register the hash with a name, and then all you can do is type BZZ/ and some name, and you get the DApp. All without servers, all peer-to-peer. So development, I'm not going to go into that. Victor already mentioned network layers rewritten. We've got simulation suite and visualization projects that the others are going to talk about. And my work will be also on getting the cluster to be more reliable. And we have a test cluster, a second cluster where we can play all kinds of games, and we've been using that more in recent days, testing the PSS. So, right. And this is what it looks like when you're buying a name. I don't know if any of you tried to, see some people nodding. So you buy a name. So what I've done is I've actually bought swarmchats.eth, and I've won the auction, and it's great. And then there's this option here to set the default resolver. Now, a resolver is something that associates to a name, it's a contract, and then gives you back answers to questions like, give me a wallet address, or give me a swarm hash. And the default resolver actually has Swarm support. So if you'd had a name like that, and you click on set default resolver, it'll end up being rendered like that. You can enter an address, and down there it says enter a swarm hash. So what kind of a swarm hash would we put for swarmchat.eth? Well, swarmchat.eth is not ready, so I write a quick HTML. Come on.
The original mentioned, it strives to provide really resilient and sustainable base layer services, or decentralized, or very strictly decentralized, that will help us build decentralized web applications in the way that we kind of used to it, which means that they should be responsive, real-time, interactive, and relatively fast, and do not rely on any kind of central services. To that end, we have 3 different target areas that we approach this. One is internal messaging. With PSS, we're going to provide this service. This complements the other component of the Ethereum Holy Trinity, Whisper. It's a service that provides slightly different routing and latency properties than Whisper, and also some different anonymity properties. The second track that we're targeting is data services. So, based on the possibility to have inclusion Merkle proofs, and therefore verifiable data inclusion that's verifiable on the blockchain, we are able to provide data services in a decentralized way, which does not compromise your desire for quality assurance, and in fact makes it absolutely provable. So one client aggregators that they actually index the data. It's just a silly example. So decentralized database services. And thirdly, with our incentive system, we also noticed that that we ended up having very interesting solutions generically suitable for payment, micropayments, and in general payments that have very desirable properties, mainly off-chain scalability, but retaining some very high level of security because of the property of of verifiability on the blockchain. And so that's the sense. And
I'll give you 30 seconds and I'll be out of here.
thank you.
Alright, so I got this back. So what I mentioned, I just wanted to show how one might load up a Swarm page, and I don't really have much of a chat app yet, so just wrote a tiny little bit of HTML. It's one HTML file. I upload it with the command swarm up, and it gives me this long string there. That's its swarm hash, and that's what I would paste into the content hash in the name app and click apply. That registers that on the blockchain, and then from then onwards, you can just type swarmchat.eth in your browser and it would load the site. And that's really powerful, and it doesn't have to be just static content. So one of the examples we have, this is on Swarm hosted a Markdown page, which was actually the schedule we were using for our Swarm Summit. Well, and there's another app which I mentioned previously, briefly, called the Markdown Editor, also hosted on Swarm. And the Markdown Editor loads a Markdown site, renders it nicely, and it makes. The reason I'm showing it because the content is editable, so I can completely well, not in live demo. I can go and extend our summit by 1 day to the 20th. Click on submit, and I would have a new content. And what you actually see up here is a new content hash. Well, it's on the gateway, so the gateway is slow. But well, I will not bore you with that. The point is, this kind of content is editable, and the apps can be interactive, and you don't need to sort of try to lock down all your content and hold on to control, because the part that you care about is registered in the name that you control. That name resolves to a hash. That hash guarantees data integrity over the entire site. And if someone wants to edit the site, they can, but none of your customers will get the wrong data, because the wrong data has a different address. And so you're controlling a view of the data, not the data itself. And so you can be far more free in allowing editing and interactivity. And just like my slides, you can load my slides from Swarm, take out one of the images and insert one of your own, and then share that with your friends. It's fine. That has no effect on my slides because I have registered my name to my version of that data. So that's how sort of Swarm and ENS and all this stuff interacts. And that's all I had for today. Thank you.